This program is for educational purposes only. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We're honored to continue and welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, and it is my honor and privilege as the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health and also certified naturopathic practitioner. I've been doing this forever, but just got the certification. So I'm super excited to be able to share information with you that helps you as an individual, because this is all about you, folks. Not about us. We have a heart to help others figure out that journey that's going to lead them to better health rather than just mask symptoms. And that is something that we are sharing every single time we have Daily with Doc and Becca, which is Monday through Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time. That is 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, and 3 to 4 Eastern. And if you're beyond that, just ask your favorite browser, what time is it in my time zone at 12 o'clock p.m. Pacific time? And they will let you know. So this program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com, where you will find a good foods, bad foods list. You will find information about myself, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, and Dr. Joel Wallach, who is the founder of this crusade. And we are honored to be able to help him share this message. You're also going to find past programming and articles to help you in making those decisions as to what was going to be best for you. So as an empowered individual with knowledge at your fingertips, this is one way that we want to help you be your own health authority. Today on Daily with Doc, and before I mention that, if you were invited by somebody specific, please get back with them. They took the time and cared enough about you to share this program because they know that there is something within it that's going to speak to you. And as you're listening, if somebody comes to your mind, share it with them. Let's just be a sharing community that shares information that's empowering and do it around the world. All right. So if you're here live with us in the Zoom, as yes, this is a live Zoom. If you're not here with us and you want to be, zoom.dailywithdoc.com. Again, that's zoom.dailywithdoc.com. Now, if you are here live with us, make sure that you have that chat open, as the information is going to be transcribed and put into the chat. And as you're listening and something really speaks to you or pertains to you, take a screenshot of that chat that talks specifically about what the recommendations would be or the empowering knowledge that's shared for that concern. Now, also, if you want to see what is being broadcasted out onto all the different platforms, if you watch that profile smile, you'll see what's going on there. And for all of you that are out on the different platforms, you're awesome as well. Just send us a like, subscribe to our channel. And if you have comments or questions and you have the ability to in that platform you're listening to, do so. Let us know where you're at. And we do have a team that is watching those chats for questions and bringing those questions into the Zoom as well. Now, today we're going to have a short little segment on the brain and autoimmune, that connection. We talk about it a lot, folks, because so many things are now being deemed as autoimmune, where it's a gut issue. And when something's a gut issue and nutritionally it can be addressed, then the whole autoimmune theory is no longer an issue. We're also going to be doing Q&A with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs today. So if you have questions, make sure you get your hand raised early so that we know how much time we need to leave for questions. So I am super excited as I am able to host a friend, a mentor, an amazing individual, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, on Pharmacist Fridays on Daily with Doc. Now, he emphasizes the connection between overall health and what we put into our bodies. Folks, that's a holistic perspective. And when you're looking at the picture as a whole, things just happen to fall into place faster and better. So he's just incredible. There's so many things that I could say about him. He holds a bachelor's in broadcasting and journalism from Santa Cruz University. He has a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy from the University of Colorado. He is a compounding pharmacist, and he is an expert in compounding formulas to help the body nutritionally from the inside out and the outside in. He just has been practicing for over 40 years, which just seems to like blow my mind that he can do that for so long and still have the enthusiasm and the passion to share it with others. So, folks, without further ado, it is my honor, my privilege to bring to the screen with me the one and only Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Pharmacist Ben, hello and welcome to Daily with Doc.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you for that warm welcome, those kind words. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do want to get to questions and answers. I always feel like, I ramble on for an hour or 50 minutes, and we have 10 minutes for questions and people are left hanging. It's really it's not about me. Somebody called me yesterday and said, what do you want to talk about? It's not about what I want to talk about. It's what you want to talk about, because we're here for you. And I could talk about anything from the skin to the cardiovascular system, to the immune system, to whatever, but it's really all about what people want to hear. So that being said, I read an article this week that really caught my attention, and I thought I'd share it with you, and then we'll answer questions after that. And the article I read involves autoimmunity and the intestine. Now, I don't think a show goes by that we don't talk about intestinal health in general, and usually as it regards autoimmunity. And the reason this is important, because number one, autoimmunity is all autoimmune disease are horrific health challenges. Number two, there's nothing doctors can do about it. Nothing the medical model in general can do about autoimmunity. You'll be on this medicine the rest of your life. All that they can do is shut down the immune system. The only answers you get about the cause of the autoimmune disease is because your mother had it, or we don't know what causes autoimmune diseases. There's no known cause, blah, blah, blah. Idiopathic, they sometimes use the word idiopathic, which means there's no known cause. And number three, it's important because it's just understanding how to work with autoimmunity, how to reverse autoimmunity. The cause of autoimmunity is just logical. It's not complicated. And once again, what is the disease that smart people suffer from?
Overthinkitis.
We overthink. You want to use logic. And when I say logic, I'm not talking about medicine. I'm not talking about biology. I'm not talking about chemistry. I'm not even talking about health. I'm talking about engineering. See, the body is a finely engineered system. And if something goes wrong, it's not a health issue, it's an engineering issue. And as any engineer out there will tell you, if there's an engineering problem, you backtrack, you troubleshoot, you work backwards in terms of the body or the engineering. If there's a problem in the body and you want to re-engineer or reverse engineer, perhaps is a better way of saying this, reverse engineer, you just go backwards. It's as simple as that. Now, in order to understand how to go backwards, we got to start off with the main system in the body that is important as far as health goes, and also as far as disease goes, and that is, of course, the blood, the cardiovascular system. So first of all, the blood delivers oxygen, delivers nutrients, it delivers hormones, it delivers energizing substances that come from foods, it detoxifies, it delivers all the nutrition and oxygen, as I mentioned. So obviously the blood is going to play a major role in the health or lack thereof in the body. The Bible says the life of the body is in the blood. When it comes to the blood, we have to kind of take a little bit of an intuitive leap and understand that the blood is not just some liquid that's floating around. The blood is a fully fledged tissue. It's like an organ. It's considered part of the connective tissue. It's considered to be liquid connective tissue, essentially, which means it has a structure and has components. We don't think of that when we see the blood. We just see liquid. But really, the blood it's a very complex tissue, and it's got lots of components within it, and all of those components require just the right amount of hydration, just the right temperature, just the right acid level, just the right protein level, just the right amount of nutrients and oxygen and cleanliness. It is precise. And so nothing is supposed to get into the blood unless it's been vetted. Nothing is supposed to get into the blood unless it's been vetted, any more than somebody gets into your country unless they've gone through immigration. Which is why, and I've said it before, but I'll say it again, you want to be very careful about injecting things through the skin. Because when you inject things through the skin, you're bypassing all the protective mechanisms the body has in place for protecting the blood. All the guardians, all the sentries, you're bypassing all of that. And this is what the medical model does, it bypasses the body's wisdom. And the reason this is especially insidious is because of the last couple of years, we've had these medical experts telling us, oh, don't worry about it, just stick things in your blood. And anytime a medical expert tells you that, run and be very suspicious of that medical expert, whether it's a doctor, a healthcare professional, or a government authority of any kind. No responsible healthcare professional will tell you to stick something in your blood that you have no idea, when you have no idea what that substance is, particularly when it's experimental. The evil of that is unspeakable. That's all I'm going to say about that. Most people, however, are not getting into the bloodstream through injection. Most people are getting into the bloodstream through the intestine, because the intestine is designed specifically to get things into the bloodstream. Because obviously you have to get nourished. Eating is the most dangerous thing a human being can do, is eat. And we're very glib about this eating, and we're very glib about what we eat, but the fact of the matter is this is how things get into the blood. So eating it's fraught with peril under the best of circumstances. Fortunately, nature has evolved a system for protecting things from getting into the blood from the intestine. And in fact, when something's in the intestine, in a way, it's not even in the body. And when we say something's in the body, we're talking about it being in the blood. So in a way, you can think of the intestine as a holding area that is kind of like if you ever gone to Canada or to Mexico or another country, before you get into the country, you go into a holding area and you walk through the line, and you go through the immigration, and they ask you what you're doing in the country, what are you going to do here, how long you're going to be here, etc. And that's kind of the way the intestine is. It's a holding area for food. And actually, it's not even food by the time it gets into the intestine, because the stomach has done its work on it. So it's kind of like a soupy, massy substance. And from that point, nutrients get into the intestine in the most elegant and tightly regulated fashion. Basically, you have cells that take the nutrient from the inside and flip it over and put it into the blood, like this. Other nutrients will actually just kind of go through diffusion. They'll just kind of bypass the wall, but for the most part, or many nutrients will just actually flip over. However, over the course of time, as poor food choices kick in, nutritional deficiencies kick in, the ingestion of toxic substances, most especially antibiotics, but also other drug substances and hormones kick in. You get inflammation on the wall, and once the wall becomes inflamed, things can sneak in. This is a very problematic situation. As we just said, the blood is so tightly controlled, and now you've got stuff just rushing in. And for some people, it's pretty severe, especially if they've been eating the wrong things for a long time, or they've been nutritionally deficient for a long time, or subjecting their intestine to allergens and food intolerance like gluten for a long time. For many people, this is a serious problem. So once things get into the blood, you're off to the disease races. The reason I want, and this is all diseases, because now you've got contaminated blood. I'm going to talk to you about these papers in a second, but let me just progress real quick. Once toxins get into the blood, and I'm talking toxins, number one, literal food particles, including gluten, but other ones too. I'm talking about bacterial particles from the microbiome, which is the universe of bacteria that live in the intestine. I'm talking about secretions from bacteria, and I'm talking about immune cell secretions. Once those get into the bloodstream, all that dirt, literally dirt, think pus, you get a defensive response in the blood, inflammation essentially, blood inflammation. Once you get these defensive particles floating around in the blood, this represents a major red flag. I always think of the robot from Lost in Space. Danger, 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 Will Robinson, danger. It's like a red flag, red alarms go off. It's like a 5-alarm fire inside the body once the things get into the bloodstream. So the body has evolved a mechanism for cleaning the blood. And I know I've told this story before, but it's very graphic, it's very instructive, and so I'll say it again. When I was a kid, I used to have a very messy room. And my mom would come in and say, Benji, they called me Benji back then, they didn't call me Pharmacist Ben, clean up that room. And I had this foolproof way of cleaning up my room in 60 seconds flat, no matter how messy it was, which was, of course, what? Throw it under the bed. And it took me 60 seconds to put under the bed, and my room was clean. Well, guess what? The body does the same thing. It takes all of this dirt that's floating around the blood and it stashes it away. It stashes it away, especially in the soft tissues and the organs and in the connective tissue. Now you have all these immune particles and bacterial particles and food particles and all this dirt that was in the blood. Now it's in the thyroid or the pancreas or the kidneys or the connective tissue. It's gotten stashed away, and now the thyroid looks foreign. It's distorted, or the connective tissue is distorted. It looks like the enemy. And in fact, it is the enemy because there's actually enemy particles in the thyroid. There's enemy particles in the kidneys. There's enemy particles in the skin. There's enemy particles in the connective tissue. This is not medicine, folks. This is just obvious logic. Then the immune system attacks the thyroid or the connective tissue or the skin or the whatever organ has to be, the nerves or whatever it is. And then you have an autoimmune disease. And then the doctor says, we don't know what causes it, so you're just going to get on an immune suppressant. Now, in the old days, they give you prednisone, which, by the way, was a miracle drug when it came out. I mean, that was revolutionary because all of a sudden you had no immune system, which, to somebody who's logical, that's crazy. But to somebody who is medical or somebody who's a patient, that's a miracle because all of a sudden you don't have any immune response. So you can walk again. But of course, prednisone shuts down the immune system. It impairs growth and repair. It activates the stress response chronically. It's a nasty, nasty drug. So in the last 30 years or so, they've come up with an alternative. And they make the alternative sound really healthy. They call it biologics. And these biologic drugs are incredibly expensive. And the profit margin on them is over the top. They cost you $10,000 a month or more. And they cost 10 cents to make. And so you do the math on 10 cents to $10,000. That's basically what we're talking about. And this is why you see them advertised all the time. And if you watch the news, because that's where they love to advertise, is on the news, and there's another reason for that. I'll tell you about that in a second. But you see them all the time. Dupixent and Stellara and the one where they sing the song, they have the Broadway musical with I'm taking my Jardiance and whatever, I don't remember what it is, and the mailman and the little bird flying by and the mailman is singing a song, and the absurdity is crazy. And they have the little cartoon characters, and they sell these things like we're morons. They think we're morons, and they sell these things to us. And then the doctor comes, and then the patient goes to the doctor and says, I saw that commercial for Stellara. And the doctor says, Stellara, and the insurance company pays for it, and the government subsidizes it, and Medicaid pays for everything. And of course, we all pay for that in the long run. These biologics are just fancy ways of suppressing the immune system. It's a high-tech version of shutting down the immune system. Nonetheless, the stuff is still in the blood. The toxins are still floating in, and the intestine is still inflamed, and you haven't done anything. You just don't see the symptoms. The stupidity is epic. It is unbelievable, the stupidity of it. Nonetheless, if you have rheumatoid arthritis or you have multiple sclerosis, you have a health challenge, and you can have the symptoms resolved a little bit, it's hard to argue if you don't have any alternatives. But there are alternatives. It's the reason I thought this was important to talk about today, even though I've talked about it 100 times or 1,000 times already, is that this article came out, several articles. I added it to my list of articles that I collect. And by the way, people ask me, and Becca and a lot of folks on this call are studying nutrition, and I get asked all the time about books that I read. What books should I read? I want to study nutrition. I want to study health. I don't read books. I do research studies, not epidemiology where they ask you what you ate for dinner, but actually where they look in the biology of the body. There's two types of research. One is called epidemiology. That's statistics, and that's where they interview people and ask them how many cigarettes they smoked or how many eggs they ate, or they kind of do statistical algorithms to come up with a conclusion or determination. I don't pay any attention to those. Those are cherry-picked. The numbers the statistical algorithms are determined by God knows who. I don't really pay attention to those. What I like is the scientific studies that examine the tissue and see what's happening in the biology. So these are 3 articles that one of them just came out recently. and then the other two I just had in my file. One from, this is from Natural Reviews in Immunology. Triggers of autoimmunity. Lessons from celiac disease, which is a classic autoimmune disease of the intestine. Okay, exposure to they talk real medical, and people are intimidated by these things because they talk really medical. But I'm going to translate it for you. And you should never be intimidated by these things. It's worthwhile trying to digest these things because this is where the real science is. Continuous exposure to exogenous dietary antigen gluten. That means exposure to gluten is required to maintain immune pathology. So let's break that down. Chronic exposure to gluten is required to have an immune reaction. Chronic exposure, what does this mean? It means you have to steadily be pounding and pounding and pounding and pounding. Why? Because now you've got this stream of toxicity that's getting into the blood. You see, the doctors, the medical model will tell you it's your body going crazy. They don't know, or they don't tell you, or they don't have any concept of the fact that it's a stream of poisons that's being floated in. They say it's your body going crazy. There's nothing you can do about it. But if you understand it's a stream, you cut off the stream. Do you see the difference? If you understand it's a stream, which is what they're telling you here, then you can say, okay, I'll just stop the stream. But if you say, oh, well, my mother had it and my body's going crazy and there's nothing I can do about it, you're helpless. So we've created a medical model that has created a population of helplessness, of helpless people that have no solutions and no idea what's going on. They want us to be empowered, disempowered. So continuing, because there's another really important here, using celiac as an example, they're using that as a model for all autoimmune diseases. There's 100 plus autoimmune diseases. Using celiac as a model, we propose that other factors might be identified as drivers of the autoimmune process. That means other things can do it. It's not just gluten. They're saying it's the stream of toxicity that gets into the blood. This is not airy-fairy, some hippy-dippy alternative magazine. This is the National Institute of Health, Natural Reviews in Immunology. Next, from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. Okay, these are hardcore, peer-reviewed scientific journals. Headline, leaky gut and autoimmunity. A balance of individuals' health and disease states. A new paradigm has explained disease development and said that the processes can be prevented if the interaction is barred by reinstituting the intestinal wall function. Where have you heard that before? Leaky gut.
Yep.
It's logical. Oh no, your mother had rheumatoid, so you're going to have rheumatoid. Oh, we don't know what caused it. No known cause. The body is just crazy. It's stupid. It's a dumb body, and now it's attacking itself because it's a just crazy body. I love the word attack. Heart attack. Oh, my heart's attacking me. I have nothing to do with it. I'm just sitting here minding my own business. My heart decided to attack me. Gallbladder attack. I have nothing to do with this. It's just attacking me. I'm an innocent bystander here. And then the third one, this is from the International Journal of Molecular Sciences. This came out in 2023. The relationship between intestinal permeability and antibodies in a spectrum of autoimmune diseases. In other words, all autoimmune diseases. This is what I've been saying for years. It doesn't matter where your autoimmune disease is. See, if you have celiac disease, you'll go to a GI guy. If you have multiple sclerosis, you'll go to a neurologist. If you have Hashimoto's thyroid, you go to an endocrinologist. If you have psoriasis, you'll go to a dermatologist. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. It says it right here. It's the same thing. Our investigation identifies significant levels of antibodies in human subjects with intestinal permeability compared to those without intestinal permeability. Furthermore, we identified a positive correlation between antibodies from the intestine and circulating antibodies used to determine autoimmune disease. Boom, mic drop. It's all right there. So if you're dealing with an autoimmune disease, don't overthink. Don't think that your doctor is going to be able to solve it. Don't take medication thinking that the medicine is going to end your problem. Take control of your life, particularly at the level of the intestine. Longevity has the most incredible intestinal health products, starting with the I-26, which kills excess bacteria for people who are dealing with SIBO. SIBO is one of the major causes of leaky gut. Get on the I-26. When you don't process your food correctly at the level of the stomach, that increases the likelihood of undigested food particles getting into the intestine. That can also be immune activating. Get yourself on the ultimate enzymes. Taking the ultimate enzymes on an empty stomach thins the blood. So it also prevents clotting and stagnation and sludginess of the blood. So that's taken on an empty stomach, bonus. Glucogel caps also have a blood thinning effect to help maintain the fluidity of the blood. The nightly essence, obviously. Nightly essence is a great source of bacteria, probiotics. But the nightly essence also has something in it called nattokinase. Nattokinase also helps thin the blood. The ultimate microbiome is a great source of fiber. Use your Beyond Tangy Tangerine, by the way, with your ultimate enzymes, helps activate the ultimate enzymes. Then there are the foods that you have to avoid. Obviously, everybody at this point, thanks to Dr. Wallach, knows about gluten. That's a great thing, but there's other things in foods. Do you know one of the worst things that human beings could ever ingest is one of the most commonly ingested foods among even the healthiest and the smartest and the most nutritionally savvy? It's called flour. Flour is not only a source of gluten, people know that, but it's also a source of rancid fats. You know, people don't realize this. Flour contains fats. Grains contain fats, and flour contains rancid fats. Oxidized, they call them. Rancid and oxidized are the same thing. Oxidized fats. Rancid fats, oxidized fats. You know, Doc's been talking about seed oils for a long time. They're in flour. So you eat bread, or you eat chips, or you look at the foods that have flour in them. You know, I can't go down the list. Cereals and chips and fried foods and French fries and all of these foods that are coated and deep fried, or crackers, and you know, look at all the places where we have flour. It's one of the worst foods a human being can ingest is flour. Flour also contains something called bromine, which wreaks havoc on the thyroid. We know about hypothyroidism, and it's also associated with cancer. So staying away from certain foods. Flour. Another is fried foods, fried fats. Fried fats are very inflammatory. French fries are a cause of leaky gut. They're inflammatory for the whole body, but particularly for the intestine. Also, for women who are having hormone problems, especially postmenopausal or perimenopausal, estrogen can inflame the intestine, especially when it's not being eliminated properly, and a vicious spiral can ensue because once the intestinal wall becomes permeable, toxins like histamine can get into the bloodstream, and histamine makes estrogen even more problematic. It activates estrogen even worse, which causes more leaky gut, which causes more histamine, which causes more activation of estrogen and more leaky gut, and you get this vicious downward spiral. So if you're dealing with an autoimmune disease, get yourself on the digestive support supplements. Stay away from all of the problem foods and all the bad foods specifically for you. And you can't just go by lists of bad foods. You have to go by what's problematic for you. And if you're a woman and you have estrogen issues, you'll also want to work on those estrogen issues. And then the last thing, and then we'll take questions here, is when you have an intestinal problem, you have a 1-2 punch of toxicity. You know, if you have a 1-2 punch, you know, one punch may weaken you, but the second punch knocks you out. And so the 1-2 punch is really the problem. The one punch is leaky gut. Things get into the bloodstream, activate the immune system. But the second punch is nutritional deficiency, because nutrients are absorbed through the intestine. And now you have an inflamed intestine. So now you're going to be functionally malnourished or functionally starving, because you're going to be missing your B vitamins. You're going to be missing your electrolytes. You're going to be missing your essential fatty acids. So it becomes extra important for the patient who has leaky gut to make sure they're nutriating correctly. Now, it's going to be a little bit difficult because they're not going to be absorbing, but at least get the nutrients into the system so something will get absorbed. Of course, you want to correct the inflammatory issues at the level of the gut while you're doing it, but whatever you can do. Pound the body with the Healthy Start Pack, particularly the liquids, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. So anybody dealing with a horrific autoimmune disease should know that you do not have to be condemned to it. And I gave you the mechanism. It should be perfectly logical. There's nothing fancy schmancy science or biochemistry or chemistry here. Nonetheless, if you want to try it out for yourself and you have, God forbid, an autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis or rheumatoid arthritis or celiac or whatever it is, stop eating for a day or two and watch what happens. Because that stream of toxicity will now cease because you stop eating. It may take a little bit for the pipeline to be cleared out. Within a short amount of time, you're going to notice that you feel better. And when you start eating again, you'll notice that you feel worse. Trust yet verify. Try all of this out yourself. And that's what I want to say about autoimmune disease. And I hope nobody out there thinks this is anything less than pure logic. And anybody who has an autoimmune disease should all they had to do is experiment with a dietary fast or dietary modification to experience the power of this very, very logical mechanism, or counteracting this logical mechanism.
All right, fantastic. I don't know if you can hear me or not. If somebody could take over for me, that would be great. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, because I'm getting all these errors popping up about my system running low.
I hear you.
Anyways, Pharmacist Ben, you unpacked a lot there, a lot. And if somebody can spotlight me, that would be great because I can't do anything. Man, I don't know where to start because there's so many different things that have been mentioned in what you just shared that others are experiencing. They're going through it.
Recording stopped.
Did you do something?
No,
Hello?
Kaylee, if you can turn on the recording, please. All right, so Rebecca got kicked out. so we're
Recording
going
in
to-
progress.
Oh, all right, thank you, Kaylee. We're gonna go to the first hand up. Ben, that was
Yes.
amazing, by the way. You are a rock star and so
Well,
greatly appreciated.
I wish I could, I don't want anybody to think that this is anything special. Anybody can do this, but thank you. I appreciate that. That's very gratifying, and I acknowledge acknowledge the compliment. But anybody can do this.
You're
the guy
welcome.
who fixes my computer, that guy's smart. I can't, I don't know what the heck he's doing in there. To me, this is just logic. But thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
You're welcome. Okay, Marilyn.
Yes, hello, Ben.
Hello.
Regarding supplements, I kind of been focusing on is something natural versus synthetic when it comes to supplements. How do you know?
Are you reading are you reading something or saying this for you?
Well, I want to make sure I say it properly. You know how with supplements you have L-arginine, you'll have D-fructose, or you'll
Yes.
have BL-alpha tocopherol.
Yes, DL and L, that kind of thing.
What does that mean? Is that
What the heck is that about?
exactly?
Okay, what is that about D and L? And so you asked a couple questions. You said natural and synthetic. So let me just address that real quick. At the level of the cell, remember, it's all about the cell. When you take vitamin C or magnesium or essential fatty acid, whatever it is, those nutrients are not working at the bread. Remember, the body's raisin bread, right? We haven't said that in a while, but it's important to recognize the body's raisin bread. Made up of raisins and bread, but we call them cells and stuff that comes out of the raisins. So when you take a nutrient, that nutrient isn't working on the bread. That bread is not responsive to nutrients. The nutrients are working on the raisins, i.e. the cells. At the level of the cell, that cell does not know whether that ascorbic acid was made in a lab or comes from an orange. So you have people, who are half intelligent, who know a little bit, but not. A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. There's a senator named, Harry Truman. I don't know how many of you guys like history, but President Harry Truman was a very funny guy. He used to have a sense of humor. And there was a senator named Senator William Fulbright, and they used to fight. They argued. Truman and Fulbright were like enemies of sorts. And Harry Truman he was in his own sarcastic kind of fashion. He called him Senator Half Bright, and that's kind of what I think of. We're half right. So yes, people say, oh, that's ascorbic acid, that's synthetic, that's not real. It's not. Some people even go on and say it's not even vitamin, but it's not even vitamin C. They're half bright. They're half right. Because yes, when you take a natural substance, you get the cofactors, all of the things that are associated, the flavonoids in the case of vitamin C, and whole foods are always the best way to get your nutrition, always, because nutrition works like a team. The problem is our food supply is completely corrupted. Our soils are completely corrupted. We process our food, so there's no way to get everything you need from whole foods. So supplementation is an insurance policy to make sure you get everything, and at the level of the cell doesn't know if the ascorbic acid came from an orange or it came from a laboratory. It just sees ascorbic acid, or it just sees vitamin A. It doesn't know at that point it doesn't care where that molecule came from. It just sees the shape of the molecule and it utilizes it. So
those chemicals haven't been altered. They haven't been
no, and no. The molecule is the same. Has not been altered. The molecule is the same. The ascorbic acid, the shape of the ascorbic acid, the structure of the ascorbic acid is the same, whether it came from Mars or whether it came from a laboratory or whether it came from a monkey or whether it came from an orange or wherever. The molecule's the same. However, the cofactors in the orange are going to contribute to the effectiveness of the ascorbic acid. However, we don't know how much ascorbic acid is in the orange because we don't know about the soil, and we don't know about the fertilizers, and we don't know how long the orange was left on the tree or was picked on the tree, when it was picked off of the tree. We don't know anything. So ascorbic acid supplements, your Beyond Tang and Tangerine, is your insurance policy to make sure you're getting what you need. But then eat whole foods to get everything. Now, does that make sense? First of all, that distinction is fallacious.
Yes.
When it comes to the effectiveness of the cell. And don't let and unfortunately, there's some naturopaths and chiropractors out there who are half bright, right? They're half right. So yes, it's true that it's better to do it in an orange, but it doesn't mean that if you take ascorbic acid as a supplement, it's not effective. It's very effective. In fact, they called it ascorbic acid because it stopped scurvy. It was the cure for scurvy, the ascorbic acid. Ascorbic means without scurvy. The second thing is this DL thing and this L thing. This involves a phenomenon called handedness. So look at my hands. My left hand, my right hand, right? They're the same, right? They're exactly the same, aren't they? But if I put them like this, they're different. They're the same, but they're different. That's called handedness. The phenomenon of handedness says that left hand and right hand are exactly the same, but different. They're mirror images. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
They're the same, but they're not. Okay, so let's get our mind around it. Same, not. They're mirror images, right? And so in chemistry, it turns out that molecules can exist as mirror images. There are some molecules that look like a left hand and some molecules that look like a right hand, but they're the same molecules. But they're mirror images. They're the same, but they're different, just like your left hand is the same and right hand are the same, but they're different. Is that making sense? I'm using you as my audience icon.
Got that so far. Yes.
Okay. So they call it handedness. So L stands for left hand. D stands for right hand. Sometimes you'll hear S for left. So I'm going to say S, but most of the time it's L and D. Okay? DL, like you mentioned, or LD. It turns out that for most molecules, the L form is the form that hits the cell and that the cell can use. So if you have a D form of a molecule, it's not going to be effective. Some molecules are both L and D, like you'll see DL, tocopherol or something like that. That has a little bit of both. In which case, you're only getting 50% of you're only getting 50% of your money's worth. because some of that isn't going to work. So you want to look for the right form. They call by this handedness phenomena is called chirality. And these forms are called the right chiral form, CHIRAL. So you always want to have the right chiral form, but no company is going to sell the wrong chiral form. At worst, they'll sell combinations. But you're never going to see D-ascorbic acid. You'll find L-ascorbic acid because nobody's selling D-ascorbic acid because it doesn't do anything. So
But I've seen D-fructose.
some molecules are Ds.
Yep.
Fructose is not a nutrient. So you
Oh.
will see some molecules D. Most molecules are going to be L, one or the other, or are going to be L. Nobody's going to sell you the wrong one. So it's really a moot point, except for it's educational and academic, and you might want to know about it because you see them. So D for most there are some Ds, there are some D nutrients. Most of them are Ls. But whatever it is, you're going to only find the right form. Whatever form you're buying is the right form, unless they're combined. And sometimes you'll see them combined, in which case only 50% of that particular nutrient or that particular supplement is going to be effective. So you're spending twice as much money in essence for what you're getting.
Fantastic. Thank you. That's
Okay.
wonderful.
Okay.
It's good to know because I see it all the time and I'm like, what is that?
All right. There you go.
Thank you.
All right. Who's next? Who's next in
All
line?
right. Thank you so much, Marilyn. And Phyllis, are you next?
I am now.
Take it away.
Hi, Ben.
Hello, Phil.
Hello. I have 3 questions. and-
All right.
Yep, they're quick, I think, for you. Dennis on YouTube, he's been studying Lactobacillus reuteri, reuteri. He's been adding it to his yogurt and with good results. What are your thoughts about
Good
that?
results for what? When he says good results for what?
I assume with digestive symptoms he may have been having.
Right.
I don't really know.
Right. There's zillions of these bacteria. Lactobacillus reuteri is just a lactic acid bacteria. They make lactic acid. They're found everywhere, including they're a natural constituent or a natural member of the microbiome. It's a great probiotic. But there is no one bacteria that's more important than it. Let me rephrase that. Of all that, they call them commensal bacteria. That's the technical name for these bacteria that live in the intestine and are associated with food. It's not like there's one that's better than the other, which is why I like the nightly essence so much, because there's a full spectrum. And that's really the way you want to do it. In the gut, there's hundreds, probably thousands of different species of bacteria, and they're all important. The reuteri one, which is, you can get from yogurt and fermented foods, that's a good one too, for sure. And just go by how he feels, how he feels when he takes it. The lactobacillus bacteria in general, including reuteri, are very important for antibiotics. They kill bad bacteria, essentially, and they can also be very helpful for what's called SIBO or any GI issue. So it's a good one for sure, and go by his symptoms or go by how it works for him. But it's not like this is one superstar bacteria out of the hundreds or maybe thousands of bacteria that live in the gut.
And while we're talking about probiotics, I have been asked a question. Is it necessary to refrigerate, say, the nightly essence or the Flora FX?
That's a good question. Yeah.
And if it's not necessary, is it beneficial to refrigerate them?
That's a very, very good question. Okay. Probiotics are like the wild, wild west of nutritional supplements. There's no real controls on them. There's no organization that regulates them the way they do vitamins and minerals. It's really hard to know. Some probiotic supplements require refrigerization. Is that the right word? Refrigeration, and others don't. The nightly essence does not require refrigeration. It probably won't make much of a difference. The Flora FX, but some do. So you have to go by the particular brand and what the manufacturer says, and they're all different.
Got it. And VP on YouTube says, by the way, thank you for such a great educational program. And I agree, it truly, truly is. He says it's very much appreciated.
Thank you.
His question or her question, let's say it's a man, he has a problem absorbing fats. He says that they repeat on him. I assume some kind of reflux reaction.
Yes. Yes,
Should
yes,
should he take digestive enzymes and
100%.
vinegar when he eats the fats?
100%. Apple cider vinegar. Uh, apple cider vinegar is good. You need to acidify. The ultimate enzymes need to be acidified to be activated. So yes, apple cider vinegar, aloe vera. I think the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, which is also acidic, is a great strategy because then you're getting the nutrients with the acid. So I like the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Do a little bit of Beyond Tangy Tangerine with your enzymes. But yes, he can use acid. He can use anything that's acidic, including aloe vera or apple cider vinegar. Apple cider vinegar has its own nutritional benefits too. And then also there's other nutrients that you can use for improving fat absorption. Choline is very helpful. Choline is one of the, if not the most, it's certainly one of the most underappreciated essential nutrients. In fact, choline was not even known to be essential until the late 1990s. In fact, that's the last nutrient that we discovered that was essential. Choline is required for the nerves, for the nerve cells, for brain health, for the immune system, for methylation, for the whole methylation system, but it also plays a very important role in fat processing. So you might want to supplement with that. Lecithin granules can be helpful. The amino acid methionine and taurine, those can be helpful as well. Glycine, another amino acid that might be helpful for fat absorption, for improving fat processing. And fat processing, as we said many times, is really the hardest part of the digestive process is the breaking down and absorption of fats. And I know I said this before, and I always hate repeating myself, but repetition is reinforcement. If you have peanut butter and jelly on a knife and you put it under water, the jelly comes off. The peanut butter doesn't. The peanut butter sticks because fats are sticky. They don't come out of food very effectively, and they don't get absorbed. I shouldn't say very effectively. They require work to come out of food, and they require work to get out of to get into the bloodstream, and that's what your whole fat processing system, which is very complicated, kicks in. The gallbladder and bile and the intestine and the liver and the pancreas and even the stomach are all play very important roles in helping the body process fats. As we get older, particularly as women get older, that doesn't happen as effectively. And this is one of the reasons why we end up with degenerative diseases, because poor absorption of fatty nutrients and incomplete absorption of fatty substances, leading to inflammatory factors, because fats are the molecules of inflammation. Fats are what regulate inflammation. And this is why, Doc's been talking about the seed oils so much, is because these distorted, processed fats are very inflammatory. So if you're not digesting or absorbing your fats effectively, you're running the risk of a buildup in these inflammatory factors, and that can lead to all kinds of health challenges. Pretty much every single health challenge you can name. The cells, remember it's all about the cells, are lined with a membrane that contains fats. Once those fats become distorted, that cell becomes dysfunctional. And this is really especially interesting as we get older, because hormones have to interact with the outside part of a cell. And once the outside part of a cell is all distorted and skewed, hormones don't work as effectively. This is one of the reasons why, as we get older, we end up with hormone issues. And the medical model, which says, oh, we'll just give you hormones, doesn't really address the fact that if the cells are distorted, the hormones aren't going to work, which is why people don't always get benefits. In fact, many people don't get benefits from hormone replacement therapy, because the issue is just as much distorted cells as it is deficiencies in hormones, maybe even more. So fats are incredibly important. If you're dealing with fat malabsorption issue, it's a major red flag, major health challenge that should be addressed. And that is with all the nutritional supplements that we just talked about, as well as eating smaller amounts of fats, dividing your doses of fats, and then also making sure that if you're not processing your fats, you're using nutritional fats, because you're going to be deprived of your essential fats as well as your fatty vitamins. So your ultimate EFAs, Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Ultimate Multi, anywhere where you can get fats, fatty vitamins and fatty nutrients. And one last thing I'll say, and essential fats. One last thing I'll say, is for the skin. You guys know I'm in the skin business. For the skin, fats are especially important because of this inflammatory factor, and the skin is a fatty organ, but also because fats, a specific kind of fat, which I'll tell you about here in a second, is important for protecting your skin from the sun. And if you're not absorbing your fats, you're not going to absorb these molecules that are in fruits and vegetables, especially, that get deposited in your skin to protect you from the sun. And while everybody's out there and dermatologists are out there talking about how you need sunscreens, don't go out without a sunscreen, blah, 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 nature did not intend your skin to be protected from the sun with sunscreen. Nature intended your skin to be protected from the sun with these fatty substances, which we call pigments. Reds and blues and greens and purples. These pigments get deposited in your skin and they filter or they block the sun, just like they do it for plants. That's what, plants are in the sun all day long. They don't get skin cancer. They don't get wrinkles. Why is that? Because the pigments in the plants protect the plant from the sun. They're actually, they absorb the energy from the sun, which would otherwise cause damage. When we eat those pigments, they get deposited in the skin, they do the same thing, but the pigments are fatty. So if you have a gallbladder problem, a liver problem, fat malabsorption issue like this gentleman was talking about, the chances are good you're not going to be absorbing these pigments, which means you're going to be more susceptible to damage from the sun, and that includes, of course, skin cancer. So for all folks who are dealing with fat malabsorption, especially older women, postmenopausal women will say, or menopausal or perimenopausal, but really everybody, but particularly older folks, braise your veggies in butter. If you braise your veggies in butter, the pigments will be easier for the body to process. So braising means use a little bit of heat, not a lot, just a little bit of heat with butter, not vegetable oil, but with butter, because it's a stable oil, the colors will be more readily released in your digestive tract, and you'll get better benefits from these pigments, and that means better sun protection as well as better liver. These pigments also are important for liver health, and they're just generally good for you as adaptogens. So you get overall internal health as well, better internal health, but particularly for the skin, for people worried about skin cancer or accelerated aging or sun damage, photo damage, etc. So I hope that helps.
So we are not sunscreen deficient.
No, there's no sunscreen deficiency. And it really rankles me a little bit to hear when I hear dermatologists. I get ripped on a lot by dermatologists. I did a video with a friend of mine, a TikTok video the year before last, and it was, for a while, it was the most viewed skincare TikTok video in the world. It was a viral video. It had millions of views, and the reason it did is because the headline said, "Don't wear a sunscreen." And boy, that gets some attention. And there were dermatologists, one in particular, this numbskull, who ripped me. Oh, how could he dare say that? How dare skin cancer, blah, 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 blah. Because they don't understand that we're not drug deficient. We're not sunscreen deficient. We're nutrient deficient. The body can handle all these things if we treat it correctly and we feed it correctly. But that flies in the face of conventional wisdom and the medical model.
By the way, thank you for reminding us the benefits of drinking BTT while we eat our meal.
Yes,
we forget about that.
Yes, you get better absorption. You'll activate your enzymes, your digestive enzymes, and you'll also nutriate yourself as you're eating. You'll be replacing the nutrients which should be in your food while you eat, as you're eating and drinking your BTT.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Pharmacist Ben. I know we've only got about 4 minutes. I promised somebody that I would ask this question, and we had another person wanting to know about the same thing, and it's scabies.
Scabies. Well, that's not really a nutritional issue. So do you know what scabies are, right?
Well, it's a mite.
They're like little creatures. That's right. That live in your skin. They're mites, and they burrow. They drill into your skin, as disgusting as that sounds, and there's no nutritional strategy for dealing with that. But while and actually colloidal silver might help. You can suffocate them with Vaseline or some kind of occlusive agent. But while you bring the subject up, I used to make a topical thiamine cream for mosquito bites, or for mosquitoes, not mosquito bites, but for mosquitoes, because mosquitoes hate thiamine. So you can use B vitamins or thiamine specifically for protecting yourself from mosquitoes, but scabies or mites, it's a parasite, and there's not really much you could do. You're certainly not going to do much for. It's not really a nutritional issue. It's more like a healthy, a hygiene issue than anything else. But it's not really. I wouldn't consider that to be a skin issue.
Okay, so with it not being
I'm sorry,
issue,
a nutritional issue.
not a nutritional issue,
Yeah.
you did mention parasites,
Yes.
which if it's a parasite in the skin and we take something that's anti-parasitic in the system, will it help from the inside out?
Antiparasitics kill things. It's not a good idea to take things that into your body that kills things, because your cells are things and bacteria in your body are things. So there's an indiscriminate nature to antiparasitic medication. Antiparasitic medication can be very, very toxic. Ivermectin is the most commonly used antiparasitic when it comes to these kinds of infections. I don't know that you're going to be able to take care of scabies topically with an antiparasitic, because that's working internally, systemically. So for scabies, I wouldn't consider that to be a nutritional issue. It's more of a hygiene issue. And I don't know that antiparasitics will work because you're taking the antiparasitic internally. Theoretically, you could use an antiparasitic topically, but because the mites are digging deep they don't sit on the surface, they're digging deep, it may be difficult to access the mites with a drug or the medicine topically. Suffocating the mites seems like it's probably the best thing to do, and that's with some kind of occlusive agent. But really, that's not a nutritional. I wouldn't consider that to be a nutritional question or a nutritional issue.
Okay, and so it is definitely not the same as eczema.
No, eczema is a nutritional issue. No, eczema is a tragedy, because as miserable as eczema is, it's incredibly easy to resolve, and we should talk about that on our next Daily with Doc, because that's a very interesting subject, and it does require a little bit of conversation. I'll tell you this right away. The technical name for eczema, the official name for eczema, is atopic dermatitis. Eczema is a colloquialism. It's Greek for like swelling or pussiness. But the real name is atopic dermatitis. So let's break that apart. Dermatitis, itis means inflammation. Derma means skin. Dermatitis means skin inflammation. Atopic means not topical, as opposed to contact dermatitis, which is topical. So atopic dermatitis, which is eczema, is not topical. It's right in the name. What does that mean? What does that tell you?
That means that it's an inside issue. It's not a topic.
Exactly. It's right in the name. It's right in the term. So anytime somebody uses it, there are topical products you can use to kind of soothe the skin a little bit, but you want to regard eczema as an internal condition that involves the immune system. It's an immune condition. Some people will even say it's an autoimmune condition, but at the very least, it's an immune condition, and it involves nutrition dramatically, as well as an activated immune system through leaky gut.
All right. Thank you so much. Do you have time for another question?
I'll take one more.
All right, AJ. Go ahead and bring yourself on screen. And what is your question for Pharmacist Ben?
Pharmacist Ben,
Yes, sir.
of course I don't have just one question, but I
Pick your
will,
favorite.
I'll pick this one. Because I love your answer to this one.
Okay.
Do my diabetes and heart meds, metformin, Januvia, Eliquis, losartan, metoprolol, interfere with my tangy tangerine and my Prohoba?
I love that question. Yes, they will interfere. They will make your medicine more powerful. Your nutrients make your medicines more effective so that you can wean yourself off your medicines. And this is a very common response that doctors have to nutritional supplementation. If you go to the hospital, as many people know, if they go to the hospital, they'll take you off all your nutritional supplements. There are doctors who will say don't take certain nutrients after surgery because they'll interfere with your medication. Or they'll even tell you not to take certain nutrients because they'll interfere with your medication even if you're not in surgery. What they don't realize is with some exceptions, the interactions potentize the medicine, which means you can take less medicine, which should always be your goal. If you're on a medicine, your number one health goal should be to figure out how to wean yourself off that medicine, get off it. And by the way, you don't want to do it on your own. If you're going to a doctor, you have a de facto agreement with that doctor to do what he's going to say. It's not like it's a legal binding agreement, but it's a de facto agreement. He's helping you, and you're asking him to help you. It's not fair to a healthcare professional to go to him and then do your own thing on the side because he's trying to work with you. So you tell the healthcare professional, the doctor, what you're doing. You say, hey, look, I want my Beyond Tangy Tangerine, so let's figure out how to deal with my losartan or my metoprolol. As it turns out, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, the Ultimate Selenium, the Ultimate Niacin, all the nutrients that are important for blood sugar and for the heart will make your medicine more powerful. And that will allow you to wean yourself off your meds.
Yeah, Pharmacist Ben, at some point we have to recap, get back together because you have about 30 more questions that have not been answered today.
Okay, so you have to do it next time. We'll get them for next time. All right.
Yes, we'll do it for next time. AJ, go ahead and stay up. And if the other co-hosts could join us too, I can't believe how fast the hour goes, Pharmacist Ben.
All right.
Another powerful, information-packed session of Pharmacist Fridays on Daily with Doc. Thank you again, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Folks, powerhouse of information. And I love the fact that he doesn't want to be the authority. He wants to make you the authority by empowering you with information you can take to the bank. So it has just been a fabulous day. We could not do this without co-hosts, especially when I've got technical issues. I appreciate my team so very much. And today we're going to start instead of end with AJ. AJ is the man that is making sure we're getting out on all of the platforms where people are watching and listening. Thank you so much, AJ, for all you do with that. We have Kaylee, who is our intern. She is helping us with our social media presence, our digital media presence, even if it's not social. And she's doing a fantastic job there. Thank you so much, Kaylee. We have Albert, who is joining us from South Africa and helping to let people into the meeting room as we are live Monday through Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific time, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern. So thank you so much, Albert, for doing that. We have Ruth Ellen, my executive production manager, helping to herd the cats and keep us organized as we just need her. So thank you so much, Ruth Ellen, for all that you do. And we have Rod, who is helping to keep an eye on everything, whether it's on the social media platforms or here in the room. Thank you so much, Rod, for what you do. And we have Phyllis, who is out watching all of the different platforms and bringing those questions in. Thank you, Phyllis. And where's Marilyn? Oh, there's Marilyn. Okay, she wasn't showing on my screen, but she is doing a fantastic job and putting what you hear into text in the chat. So she and Phyllis both do that and just do a fantastic job. And we want to make sure, folks, that you're getting information that you yourself can implement. You don't need a prescription. You don't need somebody else to tell you that you can't take something. And AJ has his hand up. But folks, be inspired. Be inspired. As we absolutely love hearing these positive responses as to when you put this information into action, you get results. And just a correction. So Kaylee, she is our student team member. So Thank you, Kaylee. Thank you, AJ. Take it away.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that that article that Pharmacist Ben read is just something that we need to file, and that Dr. Wallach and Pharmacist Ben were right categories. And if you want to read more yourself on what Dr. Wallach has put into writing, and you can learn it on your own, call 800-755-4656 and get Dr. Wallach's books in your hands and empower yourself with knowledge.
Yes, and be empowered, folks. That's what this program is all about. My name is Becca Dukes. Thank you so much for investing this last hour into your own health journey. Share it with somebody else. If you have any questions, you can send questions into questions@dailywithdoc.com. If you would like to speak to a certified holistic health coach and you are not working with somebody, we do have our call team available to help you figure out what is needed to help you create a better health journey. And that again is 855-949-3377. Until next time, everybody, have a fabulous day. Bye for now.
Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.